Well, hello to the First Baptist family and to the Friends of First Baptist. This is our midweek update for November 10th, 2021. And so this is our 3-2-1. 3 things I want you to know, 2 chapters I invite you to read with us, and then 1 way I'm going to ask you to pray in the coming week. Okay, so here's the 3 things I want you to know. Sweet potato and stuffing collection for John 3:16 mission. Every year, John 3:16 works as hard as they can to provide Thanksgiving meals for every family that needs it. And our part is sweet potatoes and stuffing. Next time you're at the store, grab those, pick those up, pay for them, and then bring them down to the church and drop them in our blue bins. We'll deliver those to John 3. Let me say this, as a church, you are always very generous. When there's a need, you respond so well. With our Afghan collection for toiletry items, we collected over 4,500 items. Just well done. Thank you for that. And we steward our opportunities to be generous seriously. And so I'm asking you to continue that as we try to serve families in the Tulsa area during the Thanksgiving season. Okay, second thing, so sweet potatoes and stuffing. Second thing I want you to remember is our missions offering. You're going to see envelopes like this all around the worship center next to our offering boxes. Our goal is $250,000, and that will go to serve missionaries all over the planet. But in that, we're also building 2 compassion centers, one in Bolivia in South America and one in Burkina Faso on the African continent. And here behind me, you'll see exactly where that country is located. We've highlighted it there. You'll see these banners on Sunday morning. Just stop and read about some of the needs in these communities in these countries, and stop and pray over these compassion centers that we will build. In fact, that's how I'm going to encourage you to pray this week, and hang on to that for just a moment. And so, sweet potato stuffing, our mission goal. Please prayerfully consider how you and your family will give to this. Third thing, Trav's Coats for Kids. This is an opportunity we have to be a distribution point for the coats coming in through Channel 6 and Yale Cleaners. Let me encourage you, this holiday season, carve out time. As we serve, we can serve in 2-hour shifts, and 4 to 6 people can serve during these times, and it'll be a way of you giving to the community the warmth of a coat and the warmth of Christ. Let me encourage you to be creative. Maybe your family will do this with you. People in your community group. If people at work are looking for an opportunity to serve, what a great way to show how your church is serving then, and invite them to serve along with us. And so I'd encourage you to go to our sign-up portal, look at opportunities, look at those times, and serve as we distribute these coats through our caring centers, both the one downtown and our South Campus. So here's the 2 chapters I'm inviting you to read with us this week. Is Genesis 31 and 32. And we've been talking about Jacob. Remember, we're in the patriarchs: Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. Jacob was a swindler. His name means heel grabber, and it comes from his birth. When he was born, he was grabbing his twin brother's heel, Esau, but it kind of had a double meaning in that he was just a manipulator. And what God had to do with Jacob, and what he has to do with many of us, is break us down. God never uses a person greatly until he hurts them deeply. And break Jacob down to the point where he would be useful, that he'd get over the big me syndrome and start understanding the big God, okay, and to follow him. So we kind of see the final stages of that. In Genesis 31, Jacob gets ready to return back home to his homeland where Abraham and Isaac, where that land had been promised. And so he's fleeing his uncle, Laban. There's this one little scene. I want to get to the beef of this in chapter 32, but there's one little scene where Rachel steals Laban's household gods. These were images that Laban had carved, that he put his trust in these false gods to provide for him. So why did Rachel steal the household gods? And she's kind of operating on her own. She's doing this kind of on the side without anybody else knowing. We're not told. Either she did this to her father as a way of kind of sticking it to him one more time, or she had idolatry in her own heart and hadn't quite let go of all these older gods. We're not told. We can speculate. But the main part of these 2 chapters, chapter 31, chapter 32, this is the final breakdown of Jacob. 2 parts of this chapter I want you to pay attention to. Jacob's prayer. In verses 9 through 12 of chapter 32. Remember what we talked about Sunday, that as the church in Acts faced persecution, they poured out the situation to God. Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane poured out the situation to God. Hezekiah in 2 Kings 19 poured the situation out to God. In verses 9 through 12, Jacob does that same thing. He takes this situation. He doesn't tell God anything God doesn't already know. So here's the idea. God doesn't need us to tell him what's going on. We need us to tell God what's going on. We need that experience of laying it all out before God. So Jacob says, God, I'm going back. Esau's going to try to kill me, but you said you would prosper me. You promised that you would take care of me. And so here Jacob, in a good prayer fashion, lays it all out before God. Let me encourage you, lay it all out before God today. And then here's this incredible scene. This is one of the high moments in the Older Testament of Jacob at Peniel. And we don't know all that happens here, but we know that Jacob wrestles with God, literally wrestles with God. And in this wrestling that had been going on for years, it kind of culminated with this one night, this standoff at Peniel. God touches Jacob's hip, and he's left with a limp. Now, a couple of things that I think are cool about this. In the Passover feast for the Jewish people, and you see it mentioned here, because Jacob's socket was touched, that Jews won't eat, says here in verse 32, therefore to this day the Israelites do not eat the tendon attached to the socket of the hip, because the socket of Jacob's hip was touched near the tendon. That's when they eat a lamb. So this is the shank bone of a lamb. And for the Jewish Passover, the centerpiece of the Passover table, there will be a shank bone of a lamb there to remember this moment. So the lamb that would be sacrificed for Passover, they remember Jacob being touched by God on this hip and walking with a limp for the rest of his life. You know, this is not a bad way to live. It's not a bad way to live with a limp, that we are broken people. And oftentimes where God has touched us, where he's hurt us most deeply, that's where he can use us greatly. And so Jacob walks away from this event and back to his life, and God would indeed prosper him, but he walked with a limp. So every step he took, he remembered that God had touched him. Every step he took, he kind of felt that old wound again, but as a wound given by God, as a reminder to walk with him, not to be grabbing other people's heels, but to move his heels forward and to serve God for the rest of his life. God bless those who walk with a limp today, and that might just be you. So, 2 chapters, Genesis 31, 32, great passage there at the end of Jacob at Peniel. Let me encourage you this week, pray for our compassion projects. Would you pray especially for the nation of Burkina Faso? There's a lot of poverty, rampant illiteracy, a lot of children who need help, and a lot of children who need hope in the name of the gospel. So would you pray for Burkina Faso, that the children at our Compassion Center that we will build in the coming year will come to know Christ and make their country and their world and their families a better place. May the Lord bless you. Proud to serve as your pastor, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.